All right, so I'm going to open this up. We're doing this a little bit differently. Instead of like spending a whole 20 minutes on their story, we're just going to get right into how these individuals think, okay? We know what their production numbers are. We know where they're ranked in the market. Very highly talented agents that are on stage, and they're spending our time, so let's use it wisely. You guys can hop in any order on this, okay? Brittany and Garrett, you guys have speed round over there. Katie, you have your own mic.
You can take it first every time.
Quick background. All three of these people are very, very different in how they prepare for things. I'm sure Katie and Brittany have notes, and Garrett probably has not looked at any of the questions yet. So you're going to get raw answers from him. He was too busy playing Monopoly. All right, so what's one thing agents are doing right now that's causing them to struggle with buyers that you guys are seeing?
I think I can speak from experience on this. Sometimes when you meet somebody at an open house or it's a cold lead and you don't follow the process properly and kind of wing it, and you don't go through what the market looks like and what the process looks like. They may have come from a completely different state, or maybe they bought when it was a buyer's market, so they might have some different preconceived notions in their head. And then when they're wanting to put in an offer that's 30 or 50 grand at our asking price, then you're like, oh no, we're filling out the purchase agreement right now, and this is not the time to try and build that trust and credibility. It just takes so much longer to do that. So, so when you're able to do that ahead of time, I think that just sets you up for success.
I love it.
Okay, so I had two. The one, along those lines, allowing the quickness of the market to dictate their actions and deter them from their process. I think I've seen agents doing that, to Katie's point. And then the second one, which is kind of what Jeremy was touching on when he was talking to us, is I have had several listings where I ask for feedback and the response is that they loved it, but they still have to get pre-approved. That is insane to me. Or like talk to the lender. I think, so again, back to just the process, I would say, especially with buyers, they should have already talked to the lender before they go do that.
People in general want to be guided. So if you allow them to guide themselves, they won't go anywhere. So you have to be there every step of the way to guide them, and kind of with that, even with your lender connections, people they have a price point in mind that they want to spend already on a monthly budget, but they have no idea how that translates to price overall. So getting their budget dialed in originally, and if you guys are ever struggling with the conversation of, hey, let's get you approved, the easiest way I found to have that conversation is, do you have any idea what your budget looks like? Do you have any idea what payment correlates to, purchase price? And usually their answer has either something to do with no, or I looked on Zillow. And none of those are acceptable. So, but people are like a car, you got to drive them, and they sit in the back seat. So, but as long as they feel like they're driving, you're good.
Yep, I love it. All three different analogies, but like setting expectations is so important, right? And one thing I've noticed, like talking about the market update, know your numbers, whatever it is you're tracking, do it consistently, because if you're in the market all the time, you feel these little changes like day to day, and you've got to be able to guide your people and articulate what's happening, and that's what these three do really, really well. My next question for you guys is, in today's market, what's more effective for generating buyer business? Open houses or social media?
I said whichever one you are going to do consistently and have a strategy for follow-up for. I think open houses or social media can both be equally as effective if it's done right.
Love it. Consistency.
I got nothing to add to that.
Dang! Really wanted that to be like a WWE battle here. Social media! Off the top turnbuckle. Okay. Yeah. What's changed most about converting buyers either into business or under contract from this year versus last year?
Take it away.
What was the question again?
What's changed about converting business, whether it's generating buyers or converting them to under contract? What's changed the most this year from last year?
The one thing I've noticed the most is, at least for all the clients I've had, obviously you guys have seen the market, it's popping right now, but buyers have more hesitancy than they've ever had. So to go along with the fact that the market is, hotter than it's been for the last year and a half, It also couples with more anxiety about buying houses or, world stuff that's going on that they think is going to affect them in their $275,000 house. It's just combating all of that to make them feel comfortable enough to buy a home. And they just want to know, and I've noticed this with the younger generation, they want to know that somebody's there for them. They want the support. And you've probably noticed that with parents coming along to showings, that's increased a little bit. They just want somebody to know that cares about them. So when you let them know that you care about them and you're there to make sure that, obviously we can't do everything, but hey, we're going to try to put you in the best home possible for the best price possible in the best time frame possible. Once they start to know that you actually care about them, that hesitancy drops significantly.
Mm-hmm. Love it.
Great.
No piggybacking. It's good. Well answered. How are you guys tackling those conversations where national headlines are coming up and worry about these bigger things, right? Like they're much bigger than what's going on locally sometimes. How are you guys tackling that?
I try to ignore it until I get asked about it.
Avoid it at all costs.
And then, downplay it enough and defer. I think a lot of those headlines that people see don't impact our market. We're so insulated in Omaha, Nebraska that, we don't get, usually we're 6 to 9 months behind what's happening in New York, California, if that even hits us. So I deflect and defer a lot.
Wait.
But yeah, we'll see what happens. But, at the end of the day, if the market crashes, and usually it all comes back to people fearing that the market's going to crash and they're going to lose out on their biggest investment of their life.
Yeah.
My normal answer is if the housing market crashes, we have bigger issues going on.
Yeah.
I agree with what you're saying too. I think no matter what, it always comes down to why that person wants to move and buy a house in the first place. Most people need to move for a specific reason. And if they're scared of losing their jobs, and it could impact their credit, that's still a viable option that could happen even if they have an apartment. So unless they're going up tremendously in their price point from what they're paying in a rental versus mortgage, and they have a lot of fear, then sometimes I just say maybe get a couple of different perspectives from professionals, and at the end of the day, I'll be here no matter what, whether it's you want to buy a house this year or next year, but I want to do what's in your best interest.
Yeah.
I think both of those things. And then if it's something like specifically real estate related at a national level, I would say it's easy to compare it to the weather. Like you wouldn't take an average of the weather for the United States and dress based on that. You would dress based on what the weather outside for here is. So I think that is an easier way to explain it to them, how our micro market is obviously different than national.
Yeah. Do I get a microphone yet? Am I still muffled? Or am I better?
Better?
Hey. All right. That was exciting. Okay. I think that's helpful, and knowing your numbers helps. I know you guys do. But you guys just saw on the board 3,000 homes sold so far this year. People are making these decisions. You have a place to live, or you need a place to live regardless, right? So it's making the best decision for your choice, your situation today. We're going to move on to Katie as our first panelist. We're going to spend some time with you. You guys, thanks for answering those questions. Thought we'd have a little bit more arguing, but we just didn't, so it's fine. What's up, Katie?
What's up, Will?
We get pizza.
So can I tell a funny story before we start? So I got to introduce Katie into this real estate market, and I remember, where are you guys going? You're leaving?
Can we get pizza?
Oh, yeah, go get food. This has never happened before.
I'm hungry.
I was like, Katie, you're going to have an hour.
Social media.
Katie came into the industry and had a long background of sales, and I knew he was going to be so talented in this industry. So to see what you're doing today is like the vision of like, I know you could do this. So I'm so proud of you. And I remember getting a call one time in the car, and she left a voicemail that I saved on my phone, and she said, I just sold a house. I'm going to pee my pants. Call me back. Bye. And so we called her back, and I said, okay, what's the deal? We're writing an offer. Have you talked to the listing agent? Nope. Is there any offers? Not that I know of, but I just sold a house. And long story short, She was calling the office number, I think, at MP Dodge.
Oh,
And
gosh.
she called back about a day later and said an awful human with $650,000 cash came in and bought the home from under us. And that ended up being Haley Fleister's clients at that time. And from that day to now, like, you still bring that same sense of optimism to every single thing you do. And that's why I think your clients really love and appreciate who you are and what you do. So I'm excited for this conversation to show how you think and what you do. So you ready to rock and roll?
Yeah, I have an embarrassing story about you too.
Nope.
Just kidding.
No. Let's not. What separates agents who consistently convert buyers from the ones who don't? So just like more of a high level question here, like what's the difference between the two?
Well, so two things. I think the number one thing is you want to make a strong first impression and identify what their problem is right away. So especially if I'm meeting somebody at the open house, we don't have much time. My focus is I want to build credibility as quickly as I can. So I'll walk them through the house and I'll point out things, especially if it's a first-time home buyer. This is what you should be looking for when you're buying your first house. And the goal isn't necessarily to develop rapport or even to generate a lead. The goal is to get an appointment. And the way to get an appointment is by asking enough questions to uncover the problem that they have. And if I can find out that their lease is ending, they're having a baby, then those are my favorite. Or maybe they are in a different phase of their lives and they can't navigate stairs anymore. So once I can identify that problem, then I can see how big of a problem is it to them and what is their timeline when they want to move. And then the solution is we can talk about that at the appointment.
Yeah. You do a really good job of getting to and focusing on getting to appointments, right? So it's interesting. Our whole entire brokerage, I think we did 20 to 22 deals last year off of open houses, and I think 9 of them were from you. Like, you do very good in open houses and converting them to appointment. What's your mindset in those, in an open house? This is not one of your questions, sorry.
Yeah, I look at an open house as I'd rather see people and talk to people face to face than door knocking. And I've done all the lead generation things, and this one just happens to be my favorite. And I can tell you when I'm driving to the open house, I'm not excited about doing it because I feel a little introverted, which is very surprising to a lot of people. But I get nervous, and then if I kind of think about what I want to say in practice, then usually I'm fine. But it's fun. And when people come in, I'll have them sign in, and there's a question on there, do you have an agent? Now that I've only been in real estate a couple of years, but if I recognize somebody like Nathan Nelson or, somebody that I've worked with before, then I get really excited and I'm like, oh my gosh, I know Nathan and he's great. He's, take really good care of you. And then I text him afterwards and I go, I just stole your client from you. But I just like talking to people once they're in and, that engagement of, what brings you in? I'm never going to steal somebody else's client, but it's just fun. And I'd rather not be alone and have someone to talk to than, the contrary. So I think it's just being excited when people come in, find out why they're even looking at an open house, and then just seeing what I can do to help them.
Yeah. Welcome back, you guys.
Thank you.
Welcome back, you guys.
We've been fed. Now you.
Katie, one thing that you did is you literally tried almost every lead generation form possible to mankind before finding like the things that you like. How was that?
It was hard. I mean, the first 6 months in real estate, I think we all know is the hardest by far. And I didn't know what I would like doing. So I tried door knocking. I sent mailers. I called. This was in like the end of 2023 when there was a lot fewer listings. So our brokerage didn't have enough open houses for me to do. So I would call other brokerages and ask agents, hey, can I host your open house? And some of them were really mean to me and wouldn't let me host an open house and couldn't understand why I was calling them. So, but I mean, I think all that practice and to figure out, okay, I really do like open houses and just meeting people where they are. That's just been my favorite so far. It's hard, man.
Love it. And you've been extremely coachable, so I get to hear all the conversations, and she would just say some funny things at the beginning and was okay with it versus a lot of us who is more of the type of person that's like, I'll make calls by myself. I don't want anybody hearing me.
Oh.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
It's calm. Like that's more comfortable. Katie's like, nah, Whatever it is, I'm going to
I'd
say
leave
it.
the door open and you would come walking by and I would say the dumbest things on the phone. And then I'm like, why did I say that? And I would try and back myself out of it. And Will would just happen to be walking by at that same time. But I mean, I was literally making at least 100 calls a day, finding people on a do not call or like that aren't on the do not call list and circle dialing, inviting them to open houses. Or if I happen to help one client that I was working with that needed to be in a specific area, then I would call that area and see, you know, do you have anybody moving? And generally those were the easiest ones. I mean, everybody likes open houses. So it was usually people were nice when I was calling for a reason like that.
Yeah, it was things like, I'll show you 150 houses if I have to.
Oh,
Which we're like, no, don't do that. That's the opposite. That's not the script. Okay, so you've grown inside a specialized team model. How does that structure help you improve your skill sets and also grow quicker?
yeah. So to back up, I came from a sales and training background. So knowing that whatever brokerage I went to, I needed to follow a specific process. And I was also very stubborn, and still am, I suppose, that, I told Will, I'm going to do exactly what you tell me to do, but if it doesn't work, then it's you, buddy.
A lot of other words.
Yeah.
A lot of other words.
Yeah. So it took a lot of trust, but I think, we do scripts 3 days a week, and just practicing 3 days a week in front of other people, it really helps you to practice and get it until it's really ingrained in you. And so that was probably the biggest thing, was just the consistency of that. And then later on, after I think 8 months maybe, is when I joined the core team with Ashley. And she's our core team. It operates that I only represent buyers. She only represents sellers. And so if I have a client that is only selling their house, I refer them to Ashley and vice versa. And then if they are buying and selling at the same time, then we partner up. And she's so fun to work with. And we just, we do a lot of things really similarly. So it's a really good partnership when it comes to that. But I think that specialization of staying in our lane is really what helps us focus on one part of the transaction, so we can get really, really good at that. And I don't claim to know everything. I'm learning things all the time, but I think just from repetition and you never see the same house twice, but once you get 100 showings under your belt, then you really know what to start looking for. But I think the thing that really, trust to me is I love everyone. I don't trust other people very easily. And I'm getting a little emotional. And I think, it was really hard for me to trust. But once I knew that I could trust Ashley and she could trust me, I wanted to do a good job for her. She had been in the business for 8 years, and for all of her accolades, she could do the buy side herself. She wanted to leverage her business because she wanted to grow. And in order to grow, in order to leverage, you have to trust other people that are going to do their job and do it well. And once you have that trust, then I think that growth really comes with that. So I'm just grateful that you took a chance on me, for one. But I think, it also went, it's a two-way street. I knew that if I was referring you clients and sellers that you were working with that were, really good friends of mine, that I knew you would be the best person to treat them well, get the right price for the house. And Ashley's a bulldog when it comes to negotiating. So it's great when you have somebody like that in your corner that's going to show up and do a good job for the people that you love the most in life. So I think between that and trust is a really big thing. And then with leverage on my side, we hired Treasure this year. And so she's been able to help leverage too by going on showings and inspections, final walkthroughs. And so she's my eyes on the street and does a really good job. So we're all leveraging, and we're all wanting to grow. And I think you just need to rely on other people in order to see that growth.
I'm only making sure my microphone's working, sorry. Okay, so specialization has helped you guys. It almost has become bigger than one of you, right? So 1 + 1 synergy, you guys heard this, 1 + 1 = 3, right? So being able to be bigger than just 1 or 2 people is important. But to say the least, your consult to closing ratio is almost 1 to 1, which is in the buyer side of things is crazy. What's common is like a 40 to 70% conversion rate from buyer appointment to buyer close in a year. Jesus. And Katie's is probably at like 87 or 90% of the people that you meet with actually end up closing within a year. What does that consult look like, and how are you being so effective with that?
Well, you hated it because I do really well
I
on
keep
buyer
trying to use it.
consult, but I can't help it. I just am chatty, and once I get to meet a new client, I just get really excited about finding out about them. And I also want to do a really thorough job. I always tell people, I just want to get inside that mind of yours and figure out what that perfect house looks like. So when we find it, we can get that.
And that's what creates trust.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's like, you know what, she's going to do different.
Get in there. Hold me up on a little.
It's giving like grandma cheeks.
Yeah.
Like,
Love
So
it.
yeah, we do a deep dive in our buyer consults, and I of course want them to know what the process looks like. But along the way, I want to educate and kind of do some things, how I'm going to advocate for them and go through the market. And yeah, I do a really deep dive in criteria. So it's not just like number of bedrooms and bathrooms and all that. And especially if I have a client that doesn't know the market very well and is unrealistic, then one of the things that I'll do is I'll pull up the MLS search right in front of them, and I'll spin it around and I'll show them, you know, everything that you're wanting in a house, your criteria, this is what has sold in the last 6 or 12 months. And if it's not a lot, then, you know, that's kind of like a wake up call for them to think, okay, do we need to adjust criteria or budget and especially for people that think, oh, I'm going to put an offer 50,000 below asking price. It's just, I mean, the proof is right there in front of them that you can see the list price, you can see the sold price, and there's really not a lot of negotiation happening on price in the market. I mean, in the fall maybe, but in the market that we've been in for the last few years, it's hard to expect that.
Well, and we have your offer to close ratio is like, it's under 2. It's 1.45. So when you're writing a lot of offers, some of us have written so many offers, right? With one client, maybe 4 or 5 that can sway your numbers up. But having such a consistent number with yours under 2, what are you asking listing agents? Now, this might be an obvious question for everybody, but what are you doing that's a little bit different than other people? Little do you know, nobody in this room, I imagine, but people will write offers and submit and not even call the listing agent. Anybody heard of this?
yeah.
This has happened before, right? Who knew? But nobody here. I know that. So, Katie, what are you doing to make sure that you got enough information?
Yeah, I think it's, you have to know the market and you have to explain that to your client. But then I think what's really helped me, and the best deals I can think of come from just really good communication. So I'll call the listing agent to understand how's activity been, what matters to the seller, when are they wanting to close, kind of all those questions. And if there are other offers, I mean, the listing agent isn't just going to roll out a silver platter and be like, this is what you need to do, and this is that. Maybe once does that ever happen, but I can get usually pretty good information from them. And so what I tell my client is I'm going to take that information back to you, and it's up to you what you want to do with it. Because people make decisions with logic and emotion. And sometimes if the house is, you know, if we think it's going to go over 10 grand over asking price, sometimes they're like, I don't care, this house, I love this house so much because of X, Y, and Z. So sometimes it's worth it for them. But I say, you know, I'm not like an agent that's going to be like, we're going to win at all costs, and whatever we do, you know, we're here to compete. I'm not like that at all. I want them to be happy, and I don't want them to overpay. But I also have questions in the buyer's consult of how long do you plan on being here? Because if they're going to move next year and they just paid 10 grand over asking and have an appraisal gap, then they're probably not going to make that back when they go to sell. So,
Right.
but I think, like, honestly, like, listing agents are just trying to do a good job for their sellers. I'm trying to do a good job for my buyers. I think when the times where, you know, ego is taken out of it and we can just say, hey, what is it going to take to get this done? How can we collaborate? Those are just the best deals when we don't let ourselves get in the way. So I think just being kind to people, and, you know, we're here to sell houses at the end of the day. It's not that serious. It's not my grandma's house.
Yeah.
So,
So you're not threatening them.
not that they
No, that's not common. I'm sure we could get good answers from everybody on that. But if you guys are kind of seeing a theme here, I'm focusing with Katie on conversion. Garrett, we're going to talk a little bit more. Most of his is going to be centered around lead identification. How can we get more? How can we bring in more of our buyers? And with Britt, we're going to talk a little bit more about leverage. So on the converting side of things, how many of us has shown more than 10 houses to a buyer sometime in the last year?
10?
More than 10 for one buyer, right? It happens, right? But over time, we don't want that to be the case, and there are going to be some that are. So your average showing per close is somewhere between 3 and 5, depending on when we pull those numbers. What are you doing to keep that number down, and what's some tactics, tricks, different things that they could do to get that showing number down?
Oof. I mean, we do coaching every week, and I remember early on, I'm like, I don't have enough time. This industry is so stressful. And you're like, well, how many showings are you doing with the client? And I'm like, 1 billion. I'll show them whatever houses they want. And you're like, well, stop doing that. So I think being more intentional with people, and I mean, I was literally showing probably like 15 houses per client when I was brand new, because I just did. And but I think now I focus on 2 things. Number one, identifying red flags in the showing that we're in, and also building trust with that client. So, I mean, my clients, I tell them, you're there to fall in love with the house. You want to see, do the vibes feel good? Is there enough sunlight? Do you like the layout? My job is to find all of the expensive things that could be pitfalls in this house. So if the roof is over 15 years old and it's, shows signs of leak, all those things that stand out, I'm going to point those out. And so a lot of times it happens where we go and see a house on the first time, and if it's a really good fit for them, then, I'll enthusiastically say, like, I don't typically see houses at this price point that don't have foundation issues. This is a really, really good house. And they've also seen me point out, like, I've seen some steps cracks, I've seen, this. And so I'll try and point out as many negative things about the house, just so they know that I am truthful and honest, and I'm not a robot, I'm not a home inspector, but I want to show them as many things as I can find and let them know that I'm their advocate. So that's the main thing. But then going back to how did I get that showing number down, it took a lot of time and intention, because sometimes when people send houses, it's like, I'm in such a hurry, I'll just hit it on showing time. But then sometimes you'd look back and you're like, hold on, you wanted a ranch and now you're sending me 2 stories, or you're only approved for 300, now we're going to see a 350 house. What's happening here? And so sometimes it's either getting them on the phone or texting them back and I use ChatGPT a lot to refine how direct I am with my tags. Like, what the heck are we doing? But if it is over their price point, then I'll say, hey, walk me through what you're thinking. And sometimes it's like, well, talk to my grandma, and she said that, for the perfect house, she'd be willing to throw in money. Okay, well, that's relevant. But sometimes if it's just like, well, we haven't really found anything in my price point, I'm more than happy to call the listing agent and see if they're even entertaining lower offers. But I have that conversation with my client first and say, I'm always willing to ask and try. Yep. And listing agents will get annoyed with me, like, just put in an offer. Well, I'm like, well, it takes a long time to put an offer in. And so I don't want to waste anybody's time. If the seller has to leave their home and kennel their dog and, do all the things, then you don't want to do that. And it's not just my time, but there's several different people. The listing agent's calling me saying, how did they like the house? And I don't want to call Brittany and go, oh, sorry, there's pre-approved for that amount. So. Yeah, I think just having direct conversations that are not like, hey, you told me this, because everybody says buyers are liars, but it's sort of like, help me understand where you're coming from, and if there's a new strategy, great. I can always refine things in the MLS to your search, but help me get what you're. It's not personal. Throwing down.
Yeah, make the adjustment. So, does anybody in here track your showing to close number consistently? I would highly encourage it. Focus on it for a little bit. In your first 12 months of being on core team, I think at one point, this is a year that she sold 38 houses, which is a very good year. There was a time frame where she had 79 showings to 1 close, right? How exhausting, 79 showings to 1 close in like a 6-week period. And so through knowing that and understanding it, and focusing on how are we speaking inside of that showing, or what are we saying, quickly, I think within the next 7 days or 6 under contract, right? Which then sways your numbers way down. But knowing that and focusing on it is gonna be really important. But most of us operate in that I have no idea how many showings I am per buyer. Whatever you need to see is fine because I'm working 10 buyers. But be effective with what you're doing and understand your numbers to be able to know where the gaps are, right? That's really, really important. So I think that's a huge thing that you've bought into, but also like you're willing to change those things on the spot.
Well, that's what's important about coaching is that I just go, do. And then when I'm burned out, then I think about it later and I'm like, why am I so tired? And why am I crying all the time? And then you're like, well, Katie, you're doing 79 showings to one closing. So,
But quick adjustments, right?
yeah. So it's hard for me to identify it, but you not being in the business, get to see it and help me.
Okay, that was great. Thank you. Great answers. Let's give her a round of applause. Great stuff, Katie.
Future, just keep texting.
Garrett, how you doing?
Seriously.
You ready?
We're just mending bridges over here.
Yeah.
What happened?
Oh, I didn't text her back on feedback on a house, but it's all good.
Multiple houses.
Yeah, multiple houses. So
I do.
for other realtors, if I don't provide feedback, it's like triple, quadruple text me. It's not personal.
Do your follow-up.
Yeah.
I thought something went down with the pizza.
No.
The pizza's really good, by the way.
There's a shout out for the pizza. If you need pizza, now's the time to
It's
get it.
really good.
Go.
Yeah,
I've
go get
just
your
never
pizza,
had
'cause-
this happen. This is good job. Okay, couple things. Number one, I didn't know the Monopoly thing. Number two, you were writing an offer up until this started. How did you get it sent over?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did.
Garrett texted me and said, "What time do I need to be there? I got to write an offer up." I'm like, "Well, be here on time, please."
I was.
All right, so let's start with your first 12 months. What happened your first 12 months in the business, Garrett?
I didn't sell a single house.
How did that feel?
Not great, actually, at all.
Now you're doing 90 plus deals. What did you do early that most agents don't have the patience to do? What made yours different?
I would say I didn't chase quick leads at all. I opted more for, I had the time and was blessed to have the resources to know that I had about a 12-month period before I actually needed to sell something. Luckily, at the 12-month period, I sold something. But
Right on the line.
yeah, so I opted more for the social media route and also, emails at the time, like mailers, all that kind of stuff, just to build out a business that I knew was going to start producing at some point in the next 9 to 12 months. Hopefully sooner, but I knew at some point, it's just a numbers game. Somebody was going to reach out to me wanting to buy a house. If I hit 1,000 people, one person was going to reach out. So yeah, I didn't go with the Zillow leads. I didn't do like Facebook ads. I didn't do anything like that. Mostly because I wanted to build a business that people would reach out to me and I wouldn't reach out to them. Or at least, a soft touch point where they reach out and have, the little more hard touch point. But I never wanted to be the person that was cold calling them or, hey, I don't know if any of you guys have ever run Facebook ads, but like you call them and they go, I didn't click on anything. So it's essentially a cold call. So I was like, I wanted to opt for something that I might be soft touch points, but they're going to reach back out to me in time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And at months like 6, 7, 8, 9,
Yep.
did that become more challenging for you, or was your mindset pretty steady through that entire time?
6, 7, 8, 9. Once you start getting like, hey, Garrett, my name's so-and-so. I'm ready to buy in 6 months because our lease is ending. This is paying off. We'll continue. And then that one person turns into 5 and then 10 and then 12. And you're like, oh boy, I still have no business, but I have a book of business now that will be somewhat adequate in next year.
Yeah.
So that definitely makes it easier. But when you get down to month 8, 9, 10 and you don't have any money to pay rent in 4 months,
Yeah.
it gets a little challenging.
Been there. When you're at those moments, right? Like, did you have self-doubt? Did you think of like, all right, here's what's going to happen next if I don't do this, or like, what were those last few months like?
I would say, when you have your book of business that's 30, 60, 90 days out, I would say the last 3 months were a lot easier because you do know that you have somebody that is up against some type of deadline. So it's like, okay, well, this person is either going to be homeless or they're going to buy a house through me. And I'm either going to be homeless or they're going to buy a house through me. So it gets a lot easier, month 8, 9, 10, when people are, you have 12 active buyers or that are getting approved and you know that they have a deadline. You don't have as much doubt. I would say I have more doubt now than I did then.
Yeah.
Mostly just because I expect more now from myself. So at the time, I was just like, I'll just take one.
Yeah.
Just one.
That's interesting. Does anybody know that Garrett's big on social media? I don't know, he's kind of a big deal, apparently, I'm finding out. And so when I've heard everybody come, they're like, oh, he does a great job on social media, 20,000 followers. Tell me, what's your strategy there? How are you consistent enough to create actual conversations on a platform where it's one to many?
I would say it started over the first probably 2 years. When business was a little bit slower than it is now, I had time to be, consistent in how I built my social media following. And at the end of the day, social media is a business. You almost have to treat it separately to your own business. Like, my business is selling houses, but social media is an entirely different beast. And the entire purpose of social media is to get leads. It's not necessarily getting clients, it's just getting leads, because you still have to have actual conversations with them. At some point along the way, you can have the best social media ever, and you still have to have conversations with people.
Yeah.
I don't remember the question.
I was asking your overall strategy and how you're creating those conversations.
Yeah, so I started out with a pretty consistent posting schedule, and that kind of just evolved from, hey, we're going to do reels and stories. At the time when I started social media, for those of you guys that don't know, I'm not from Omaha. I moved here 4 years ago. I knew nobody except for like 4 college friends that are nowhere near close to buying a house. Still aren't. But
Still no.
yeah, no. But I just figured the easiest way for me to get into, my wife got me into real estate. I had rental properties at the time, and she told me I should get my license. So I figured the only way to do that was social media, because I wasn't about to call anybody. And at the time, social media just kind of made sense. I'm part of that generation that understands social media, kind of.
Yeah.
TikTok's over my head, but I got Facebook and Instagram. But yeah, I just opted to grow that, thinking that it was going to be like any other business that I had come from, whether it was banking or manufacturing. At a certain point, everybody's a touch point. A view is still a person seeing your video. A like is still somebody engaging with you as a person. We kind of talked about it a little bit on our podcast. If you guys all were potential buyers, right, and I posted something and 100 people saw it, you'd go, oh, that's not very many people. But like, if all of you guys bought a house from me, I'd have a pretty good year.
Yeah.
So it's just understanding, a lot of people get discouraged, like, oh yeah, I only have 300 followers, I only have 400 followers, but like, there's no reason you can't get at least 10% of that business. And those are lifelong clients if you do it right. So, and you have a built-in CRM, so like you're always touching point with them. So.
Yeah. Which falls in line really well with database. You talk about it often and how to turn your database the right way. You're just using that as your main form of communication through there.
Yep.
I'm going to go out of order, but you're not even looking at your questions, so who cares? All right. So how did you choose your content at the beginning? Because you're very consistent with your tours, right? How did you choose that as your content specifically? And then can you share like what your early like system was, or how often you were posting at the beginning?
Yeah. So back in 22, house tours were becoming popular, and I figured nobody wanted to look at my face. So I'm a man of not very many words, if you can't tell. So I was like, I don't want to be on camera. I sell real estate, so I'm just going to show houses. And then that kind of turned into something in of itself as well. It helped me with conversion. It helped me with not showing as many houses, because people already have an understanding that when they reach out, they're like, hey, I've seen $300,000 houses on your page. I know what they look like. That's just what they are.
Mm-hmm.
So
when talk about building a local audience here. You said there's a really high percentage of your followers are local. How has that been a bigger impact versus like going viral? Has anybody, speaking of tours, anybody seen the speed tours with that one guy in Texas? He's hilarious. But anyways, going viral versus building like such a strong local audience. You said that was really important to you. What percentage, and like how did you focus on just that or get that?
So 94% of my followers are from the Omaha, Lincoln area. It was important to me so everything I do is geotagged to Omaha, or Lincoln, or if the house is somewhere else in Nebraska, it's geotagged to there. But it was really important to me that I built my business in Omaha, because I want all the followers from Omaha, Lincoln, people that actually can use me. If you start building your audience, TikTok is great for that. You build your audience nationally, you get millions of views. but 999,000 of them are from different places around the country. I've heard some people talk about TikTok, and you can use that strategy to gain referral partners and do stuff like that. But I just wanted like 5 clients when I started it. So I was like, okay, well, let's just geotag everything to Omaha. At some point, somebody under the age of 30 is going to see this and reach out to me, even if it's about this house. I just want one person to reach out to me, and I just realized that worked. So it just kind of evolved from there.
From there.
Can I ask
I don't
a
know if we
question?
answered.
Can I ask one?
Yeah.
Are you, when they are following, like are you reaching out when they follow you or like something? Are you truly waiting for them to make that first contact?
I will never reach out to somebody first. So I wait for everybody to either reach out to me or I give them soft touch opportunities. So it's like, ask me a question. Are you looking to buy this year? Clicking yes is a lot easier than DMing me and going, hey, Garrett, I'm looking to buy a house.
Mm-hmm.
I get some of those, but most of them it takes at least 9 months for my social media to turn over. So if somebody starts following me today, they will not reach out to me until next year. So that's kind of what I've noticed. And now I'm getting obviously the people that have followed me over the last couple of years, but it's at least a 9-month runway for when people enter, the ecosystem of social media to conversion. So I know a lot of people start social media, they don't have any traction for 4 months. It takes a lot longer than that.
Takes a baby. That's how you make a baby. 9 months.
Same time.
If you're lucky.
Okay. I'm going to come back to the question you asked Brett a little bit more in depth. I have that
Oh,
on
sorry.
here. No, thanks for bringing it
I
up.
needed to know right now.
Right.
I'm taking notes.
Take the question, so.
Yes,
think
let's
we
look at your question.
Skip this part. What was your posting schedule at the beginning? You said it takes 9 months to convert. Now
I was
that's
posting every 3 days.
every
3
2 days.
and then stories every day. So
How many
it doesn't
stories a
answer your
day?
question, but I'll go into it a little bit.
Yes.
So you have, the way I look at social media is you have stories that reach, your engaged audience. So when you're liking people's posts, when you're sharing people's posts, when you're interacting with people's posts and, watching, even if you're not liking, but the algorithm can pick up that you're watching, it on Instagram anyway. I don't really know exactly how Facebook works, but on Instagram, your stories get shown to them first, right? So you're up on the toggle line, you got all those little circles. If you're constantly interacting with somebody, and you can go try it on yours, if you're constantly interacting with somebody, you're gonna see it first, right? So like when my wife posts a story, it's first. At least tell her that.
It's on camera.
But like it's always first. So stories go out to people that are engaged in your content, that are actively watching. And in my business, all I do is post real estate. If you went on there, you don't find a whole lot of other things. I have some personal stuff tagged at the top, like my wedding, and some other things. But if people are actively engaging your content, they look at your stories. So stories are where I put, do you have questions for me? Are you looking to buy, sell in the next year? All that kind of fun stuff. And then posts, your picture posts, your carousel pictures, whatever, also go to people that are your followers, but they're a little bit more, it's more of an outreach. You get people that are just sitting there doom scrolling and they'll get those. And then reels you have as external followers, right? So if you have 10,000 views on a video, even on mine, 80% of those are gonna be non-followers. So the key is just to make a healthy, in whatever age group you're in, the key is to make a healthy amount of, hey, I'm here for you because I want you to see me. But I also know that if I only post reels, my current followers are never going to see me, just because that's how that all works. I've tried trial and error figuring that out. So
Yep.
not science.
Post every 2 days.
Yep.
Stories consistently.
Yep.
And if you do that for 9 months, you'll have 20,000 followers. Is what Garrett said. Write it down, sign it. That's what's happening. You guys noticing how they do business different? First 2 already. We have 2 different agents doing business differently, but they know their numbers. How important is that? If I do this, here's the inputs, here's what I get back from it, here's my life cycle. Thinking of business in a different way, right? Versus where's my next deal coming from? Garrett, I have a side question. There's no way you're the one filming these reels that you're putting out, right?
Yeah, I am.
Still today.
Yep.
Okay, so he's still doing this while selling 90 plus houses. So I'm imagining when you're doing a showing, you're just filming it that when you're out there.
Not really.
How's it go?
Well, after several long talks with the Nebraska Real Estate Commission,
Disclaimer.
yeah, well, just so everybody knows, filming real estate in Nebraska is still a gray area according to our laws, even if it's your own listing.
Okay. Whoa, what do you mean? What's great about it?
I don't know. Trust me, I asked all the questions.
Spoken like he's got some fines under his belt. I like it.
Anything to do with videos that have your sign in the yard when the ship?
Yeah, so it all comes back to the language in side tangent, but the language in the like Nebraska Real Estate Commission, like for advertising, is all meant for paper ads. So like it's all based off of, you're trying to throw an ad in the newspaper. So it's a lot of just, if you get reported by some guy in their basement sitting on their couch, they'll find a way to reach out to you and say, hey, you got to change this to be in compliance. And then that changes the next week, and then that changes the next week.
Mm-hmm.
But the original question was,
I think we lost it.
okay.
Okay, we
You
talked.
asked if you, okay, because, okay, I have like a small
Yeah.
thing. This was out of like, I'm sorry, I'm apologizing for this. He had scheduled a showing on my listing, and I texted him, I said, is this for a real client or content? Because I'm a sassy, mean individual. And you're like, a real client. And I was like, okay, fine. But I watch your stuff and I was like, what the heck? Do you have a buyer? Like, so sometimes like vacant ones, it's like, of course, whatever.
So like you obviously have to ask permission to film at these people's houses. It's gotten easier as I've gotten more followers because it's just
because
free
now
it's
marketing.
helpful.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's this person's listing with this brokerage. I want to give credit to where credit's due,
That's
but
the compliance piece.
there's a lot of compliance pieces. But
Okay.
So, note to self: just make sure you give Brittany feedback.
yeah, yeah,
Otherwise, you're on her bad side.
yeah.
All right, so we talked about how you are on social media. Like, how do you make asking for business not sound salesy? That's a lot of people's, obstacle when it comes to social media is I don't want to come across like this is the only thing I do or this is the only thing I'm asking for is business and why I'm posting. You seem to do it very confidently. Like, this is what I do and this is who I am. How did you approach that mentally versus what other people do?
So kind of what we're talking about with like story posts, when you make soft touch points so that it makes it easier for them to reach out. We mentioned this in the podcast too, but there's a reason restaurants and grocery stores and all the department stores have open signs on their doors, is because it lets people know that they're open. So half the battle in real estate is, even if you know that your family member's in real estate, what are the odds that you're going to reach out to them if you've been talking to somebody else already, right? Or you've been looking at something else. So it's the constant touch points of, hey, I'm open for business. Hey, I'm open for business. That you can even take back to your own sphere. That's like, hey, I am open for business and I'm willing to take on more clients, because people in our industry, especially clients, think that we're busy, and we are, but you have to make sure that they know that you are capable of taking on more. Because from experience, you can always handle more business. You just figure out a way to change your business to accommodate more clients.
I think it's a really good answer, and we talked, like you discussed on the podcast a little bit, but by how consistent you are with your stories and what you're doing throughout the day, Garrett's using that to build trust by them knowing when he's not with them, they know exactly what he's doing, right? They can either look on his story or they've been watching for the last year and they're like, oh, it's 11 o'clock. He's writing an offer right now in the evening or whatever it might be, right? And so I think what we kind of talked about on the podcast is you're using your stories to build trust and for them to know who you are and what you do. And then you're allowing them to come in and starting conversation through hand raises.
Yep. And I also, with that, like a lot of the houses that I post to, I get a lot of outreach about, hey, where is this? Where is this? Where is this? 90% of the time, that person has an agent. So most of the time, and it took me a long time to realize this and not hair. It's hurt a little bit right away.
Yeah.
But, now it's gotten to the point where I'm here for real estate in Omaha. You know, if you're using me, great. If you're not using me, great. And it's also helped with the whole filming houses deal too.
Yeah.
So like, hey, I'm just here to market this. Like, I might get one client out of this, but you might get 9 showings because of it. And that's happened before. I mean, some of the houses that I post, I'll get outreach about it. Where is this? Send them a listing. 2 days later, it's under contract. Reach out to the person. They reach back out to me and say, thanks, we bought it.
Yeah.
So I would say in the social media realm, you have to be okay with your conversion rate is a little bit less. You get a lot of outreach, but a lot of people end up turning you down because they're working with, you know, family member, or a family friend or a lifelong realtor that their family's known. So
Yeah. It's really good. And I think one thing that I've seen in this conversation is people want authenticity, and especially on social media. If this is who Garrett is, he'll talk about business all day if you want him to, right?
Yep.
And he loves this. This is who he is as a person. So he doesn't feel like he's having imposter syndrome when he's posting about real estate, because he's like, oh, I don't want to feel this way. He's like, this is who I am. This is what I do.
And
right?
when you reach out to me, like as a client, right? Like I feel like we always get in our heads that we have to, you know, navigate this conversation in a certain way. You know, the client wants to hear X, Y, and Z, but at the end of the day, they're reaching out to you because you're the professional at what you do. And that's kind of my thought too, when like I don't reach out to anybody first, but the moment they reach out to me one time, it's fair game for the rest of eternity. So like I'll hit people up once a quarter, like for the next 14 years. I've been hitting some people up for every quarter for the last 4. And I haven't gotten a response since 24.
Yeah.
So, but I had actually one person yesterday reach back out.
Consistency,
Since
right?
23. So,
All right, let's hear it for Garrett. Good job, Garrett.
sorry if that's
Supposed to
sweaty.
start Brittany
Oh,
at
you're-
118. It is 118. Round of applause for me
Wow,
for being
good
on
job.
time.
Good job, Will.
All right, Brittany, ready for this combo?
Yes.
Been waiting for 40 minutes.
Sweet.
I have to give you a quick thanks. I said this before the podcast started, or maybe in it, but I came into this industry and got into my first leadership role here in Omaha, coming from Huntington Beach, California, and Brittany was at that brokerage that I led. And so she was one of my top agents, and I always can look back at that time and understand that you pushed me as a leader and helped me become a leader that I am today, but also you supported me during times where I really needed it. And so I'm always grateful just for any conversation I get with you. So thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Yeah. All right, cool. Brittany, so you're doing 80 deals a year or more, maybe 90, 90 units, with a relatively small database. So we track database consistently with what we do. And for me to hear the numbers that you're pulling out of that database is absolutely insane. How big is your database?
So yeah, database is an interesting term. So I look at database as the people who we like send our newsletter to. It's about 250-ish right now.
Crazy.
Single newsletter.
So when you're doing database at a really high level, you're turning that at 10%. That means you're doing awesome, which means there's 25 deals in there. She's pulling probably 75 to 90, I'm imagining, of those deals are coming from that group of 250. So you're going really deep with few, or I guess you call it that. 250 is a good number. How are you staying on top of mind, and how are you doing that?
So I would say, and I wrote some notes and then I also typed them. So I do a lot of things. I would say I do a lot of things really well, very intentionally and very consistently, and it's always little tweaks over time. So for me, I'm very similar to Garrett in that I look at real estate as a mind share game with the people that I know. So this is not like, I don't know, necessarily a pro tip, like do whatever works for you. I will not cold call anyone and ask them who they know that wants to buy or sell a house. I've never asked a single one of my friends who they know who wants to buy or sell a house. I don't talk about it really ever, like face to face, unless someone's asking about it. My goal is that, because it's like, I don't know, you're not gonna be able to time it. Mm-hmm. So the chances that you randomly like run into somebody off the street and they're like, oh my gosh, I need to buy tomorrow. Yeah. You're like, and you didn't know anybody? Like, that's great, I'll help you. It's just really unlikely. So if I can stay top of mind with them, and
obviously not at like Keller Williams anymore, but I think the MREA is a really good book if you've not read it. And part of that talks about just the mind share. So in any industry, usually people know about one or two people that they could rattle off. And so if you are the one or two spot, you'll get the business.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So just constantly staying top of mind. So funny, I actually did try this where I timed out when they're ready because I was a door knocker. I didn't know anybody in the city that I was in. And it would take me 1,547 doors knocked to get one listing. That's a lot, right? And so the probability is very, very low. So she took a much more intelligent approach to this. With that being high level question, what systems and habits are driving that consistency to stay top of mind?
Yes. So part of that is if you don't know this. So my mom is in real estate, and I think some people think that means like, oh my gosh, you were given all your real estate. No, my mom would fight you today to take a buyer from me. Like she tells every single person we meet, like, oh, Brittany's too busy. She can't help you. I can help you. I'm like, what? No, that's not true. So part of that mind share game is building up people that know you, that are not at that point in time when I first got licensed, everyone I already knew had already bought or sold a house with my mom. So, okay, so systems and habits. Oh my God, she's literally calling right now. I swear.
What a time.
That's crazy. Okay, she cannot be trusted on speakerphone. Okay, is this being live streamed somewhere? Okay, so habits, just little tweaks over time. I think when you are doing things like that and they're little and you can improve over time, it's easier to stay consistent. Atomic Habits is a book. I think they talk a lot about that. Like you can't go from not working out at all to running a marathon tomorrow. So that's a big one. So systems. There's a system. Hey, Taylor. Oh, God, the door's stuck.
Welcome in, Taylor.
Yeah, this is perfect timing.
The grand entrance.
So we do 4 quarterly events. We do 12 mailed newsletters and then 4 pop-bys to what we call our Cool Clients Club. Mm-hmm. And that's our top clients that get those. So
do they know it's called that, or is that what you guys call it, yeah?
Yeah, that they know because they're in the Cool Clients Club.
I love it.
Yeah.
They get a plaque.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good systems, habits. Yeah, that's.
Do they get a plaque?
That's pretty much it. How many total interactions, touch points on a yearly basis?
It's a monthly subscription.
Somewhere between 80 and 90 touches a year. And it didn't start that way. So initially we had started doing like 30 touches a year. I haven't found a word that's better than touches. Touches is odd, but we'll
what it is.
roll with it. So I think when someone hears me say that we are touching our clients 80 to 90 times a year, my hands are sweaty.
It's probably that way.
That they think like, oh my God, I would never talk to someone that much. And I would challenge you, like on the brands that you use or buy or are a loyal consumer of, you are definitely getting touched a lot. Like people are reaching out to you, or they're reaching out to you. You are constantly being inundated with ads all day, every day. So Amazon, for example, like Amazon's everywhere. You see their trucks, I get their ads, all those things. And if you are in need of it, you recognize it. It's because of your reticular activating system. When you need it and you see it, those two things line up and then you reach out. Mm-hmm. If you're seeing it and you don't need it, you'll just keep scrolling. Yep. Or if you need it and you're not seeing it, then you go to Google or chat or whatever people do now. But anyway, that is somewhere in there how we got to this talk. 80 touches, 80 to 90.
80 to 90. And that wasn't built in the first year. That's something that you've kind of like trial and errored and added on over the years?
Yes. So when I first got licensed, I remember it was a big deal about 11 years ago. People started doing client events. Mm-hmm. And usually it was like the very top agents in town. Like, I don't like name drop them all. You know who they are. I was like, oh my gosh, I idolize them all. It's like, oh, I want to do that. They do one really big event and it's so expensive and that's crazy. Like, I don't even have that many clients. I have like 4. But I'm going to do that someday. And then, I don't know, for me, it was like the pressure. I did one, like some big event, and then you have a ton of people there and you're like, you were the only common denominator for all of them. So they're all just like awkwardly standing around. And we did a backyard barbecue at my mom's house. And anyway, it just was awkward because they all want to talk to you. And then anyway, I didn't like that. So now we do 4 quarterly events that are more like micro events. So the idea is that you could do one event in the middle month of each quarter. So then the month before
the event, you're reaching out to invite them to event, send a postcard, send a text, do whatever. Then you have the month of the event, so you're either seeing them or not seeing them. And then depending on that, on the third month of the quarter, you either reach out and say, thanks so much for coming, or I'm so sorry I missed you. So every single touch, similar to Garrett, like every touch has value, every touch has a meaning. I'm never just gonna touch base and be like, hey.
I'm here.
But yeah, like nobody, yeah, because then it's awkward. Then that's when you get the like, I'm fine. Like, and if you do that too many times, they're not gonna answer your calls anymore because they think you're calling to ask them who they know that wants to buy or sell a house.
Yeah. And you mentioned micro events. What would be an example of what that looks like? What's happening?
Okay, so I said micro, which some are micro and some are whatever is in between micro and big. Okay, so for example, at the end of this month is our annual spring cleaning event. And so we will order a dumpster and get it delivered to our office. And then we let all of our clients know that it's there and it's fair game and they can come bring anything they want and put it in the dumpster. And the like funny story with that is the very first time we ever did the dumpster event, nobody came and nobody put anything in the dumpster and it was completely empty. And using social media, we pretended that that was not the case. And we took pictures of the dumpster, posted it all over social media, like, oh my gosh, best dumpster event ever. Like, thank you guys so much. Like, thanks to everyone who came and put stuff in the dumpster. We were like far enough away, you couldn't see in the dumpster. And then the next year, so then of course we're doing our outreach. Hey, we're so sorry we missed you. You didn't come, which was really easy that year. We didn't have to check anyone because nobody came. And funny enough, fake it till you make it, the very next year, we had to order a second dumpster because the first one was so full. Like people were like, oh my gosh, no, I missed it. It was my bad. We're going to get it on the calendar. Like,
That is awesome.
Yeah, fake it till you make it.
Good transition there for social media, right? You use that to make that event bigger. What role does social media play in your business now?
I look at social media. So I think I came from the kind of old school mindset where like I grew my business. I was 21 when I got licensed, living in my mom's basement, had never bought a home or sold a home for that matter. And I still sort of am of the mindset that it's like kind of a grind. Like it should be kind of hard. It shouldn't just like come to you. And so for me, that's what lead generation is. Like I built my business through like, we had some online leads that we had, and then I would call FSBOs, which is crazy. I actually texted them, I didn't call them. So social media to me is more supplemental, I would say, than it is. I don't look at social media as like a lead gen bucket. I would just say it's there. I'm constantly on my stories. If any of you like follow, that's really, I don't know, I would say there's anywhere from like 10 to 20, like, what are those called? Like slides?
Yeah.
On my stories at any given moment. I couldn't even tell you the last time I didn't have a story up. Probably a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So stories is where I spend a lot of my time. I also have, this hit me the other day. You can't skip through stories the way that you can skip through other things. You either go from like me to Garrett to Katie.
Mm-hmm.
Like so I know what people come to my stories for. They come to my stories to see my kids because they're perfect and adorable. So I lure them in with videos of my kids. And then once they're there, I'm like, surprise listing. And then you're like, ah. And then you click again and it's like, oh, look at Morgan. She's being cute. And then I'm like, surprise, I'm writing an offer. So like I'm sprinkling real estate in there without it being like so in your face. But
Kids listings.
yeah.
I like it. All right. So you scaled your business.
Yep.
Or your team now as a leveraged agent versus the traditional team, which we see often, right? Like I talk with agents all the time, and there's 3 types of teams, especially here in Omaha. One of them is a personality-based team, meaning I've been doing this for 20 years. You should want to be around me because I'm really good at this. That's a mentorship team. Your high performers are going to outgrow that. Your second team that we see often in Omaha is a lead-based team. One team leader, we're buying leads, and we're letting agents try to sell them, right? What happens is your top producers eventually look over and say, I have enough money, I'll buy my own leads. And then I'm going to go do that, and we see little spawns of that team. And then you have systems and structure, right? And so this word leverage, I kind of look at it kind of like marketing and culture. Like nobody can define it, but it's really important. Sorry, Nicole. Marketing is like, it's there, and what does it actually mean? Leverage is kind of the same term. It's been very, very used over the past 4 to 5 years in our industry. How do you view the leveraged agent and how you're growing your team?
Okay, listen to the episode of the podcast and I tell Will a really funny story about leverage. But I think, so to me, a leveraged agent is just an agent who isn't doing everything by themselves, but as handed off pieces of the business that are either like not as, I don't want to say not high income producing, but that are not specific to like writing the contracts and like having the client face-to-face type of, so just all of those type of things. So I would say things that need to get done in order to grow the business or in order to maintain the business, all those things, but it doesn't have to be me doing it. So for example, like running all the touch systems, like Liv runs all of our touches. Anything, which I think this is maybe a hot topic, anything like Canva related, you don't need to do that. I'm looking at all of you. Yeah.
There are people that are good at it.
Yeah, I'm great at Canva. I love Canva, but I don't need to sit in Canva. So yeah.
So walk us through what leverage looks like for you in your business.
Yes. Okay. So today, and like leverage, which I started on, like we mentioned, on my mom's team, and her team name was Team Irish. And I was always so mad that everyone was like, "Oh, are you Irish?" I was like, "No, I'm not Irish. That's just her last name." So I had vowed that if I ever started my own team, I would not call it Team Brittany because that's fine. So we came up, or it created ARO, which if you ever see any of your stuff, it says ARO, Real Estate Group. ARO, ARO stands for Authentic Relationships, Real Estate Experts, Outstanding Experiences. I had a vision for what I thought ARO might look like, and I did sort of the traditional, maybe personality based, I don't remember all the other options, but ran that sort of for a little bit. And then very quickly, 3 years ago when my daughter was born, kind of everything came to a halt and shifted like very dramatically. For me, when it came to business, I knew that business still needed to happen. I wasn't going to do it the way I had been doing it. So today, there's 4 people essentially doing the job of one person. And so we have our virtual assistant, Aaliyah, Allie. She does our transaction coordination. She does some like branding type of Canva things. She sends, I don't know. She's sort of like with Liv. Those two kind of do things together. She does a lot of stuff. And then I have director of operations / listing manager, which is Liv. She's been with me 4 years.
Wow.
Liv does, I always just say Liv's like the keeper of all things. So Liv does everything that's not like selling the houses. Yeah.
Let's hear it for Liv.
Yeah, everyone, clap for Liv. And then my showing partner, Miss Taylor. So Taylor McCain is licensed agent and my showing partner. And
Great.
She shows all the house. She is like the extension of me, like quote unquote, I don't know, she's like boots on the ground type. So like she's at all the showings, any inspection walkthroughs, final walkthroughs, closing.
Yeah. So can you talk through that showing partner, how that works? It's funny because as you grow a leverage team, one of the hardest things I can imagine is letting go of something. Like that initially. Probably now you're like, get rid of anything and everything if you can, because you kind of like found really good, trusted people in your world. But initially it is, I can do everything the best, so how could I possibly find a replacement for me? And that's the initial phase that you go through when you're building something like this. But how does your showing partner model work now? Like what's the structure? How does communication work? How do you guys interact daily? What's that look like?
Yeah. I think I said this on the podcast too. I think there's like the Brittany, if you worked with me on a transaction or you like knew me pre-children, I think there's Brittany who did real estate for 8 years. And then there's Brittany who's doing real estate from 2023 to now. And I think those are 2 very different versions of me. I think I am way cooler now than I was. I have more patience, I have more perspective, I have more grace in general. I still once in a while call people idiots, like in the office, like, oh, they're idiots.
From time to time, yeah.
Yeah, everyone does, right? Yeah. So I say all of that to just say, like, I think it's very different, the person who I am today than I was. And part of that is obviously leverage. I actually shared something on my story earlier today that had said, you can scale or you can stay in 100% control, but you can't do both.
Yeah.
And I think when Morgan was born, when I talk about perspective, I think that just was, everything just happened so fast. It was like I was on top of the world, traveling all over the country, speaking on stages at things, like got 30 under 30.
Yeah.
And then literally 2 weeks later, Morgan was born and weighed 1 pound, 3 ounces. Like, and Cole's wedding ring, like fit all the way up her leg. Like just gave me such a different perspective. It was like none of the awards mattered. The ego almost like instantly went out the door. Like, of course it's cool to still be like, oh, I'm cool.
Yeah.
But it did not matter. I'm like, my kid's fighting for their life. I don't care if your window has a broken seal.
Yeah.
So like, it just gave a different perspective to things. Not that I didn't actually care. I'm sure I cared a little bit about the window seal. But anyway, it just gave a different perspective. So yes, any of that, all of that to say, the showing partner model works because I needed that, like, I don't know, I built a team around what I needed in the moment. And so that showing partner role is very, very important, just like all the other roles. Like I always tell them, every role on my team is just as important as my role because we are all one like unit. So none of the roles are stepping stones to a different role. None of them there's no org chart where like you're less than me and that person's less than all of us. Like it's level playing field. Like we are all the same. There's us on this level and then we're taking care of the client. Like that's it. So that I think also just brings a level of respect to each role too, that like I guess I'm the boss, but I'm not like the boss. I don't know how you can.
Well, you play like the vision of the team owner, right? But you're also your part in it, right?
Yeah.
I think that's really important. I did mess up. We're gonna hand out feedback forms real quick, and then we're gonna bring those back, and I'm gonna draw for $100 at the end of this. So fill those out when you can before the end.
And I'll rapid fire. I know I'm talking.
No, you're good. We're good. Okay, so it's funny because how we look at a showing partner or a showing assistant, how most people look at it as somebody that's there to open the door for you, right? And that's it, which is kind of ironic that you had a problem with the door today. But besides that, but what you guys are saying is like this is like an actual like a career path, and this is a role that's different than agent facing at the time. Like, what's your idea there?
Yes, I mean, if you even look at the title in which I call, like Taylor's not my showing assistant. She's my showing partner. She's my partner in this. Liv's not my assistant. She's my director of operations. People also, and I would say this if they were sitting here, like people grow into the verbiage you use around them. People grow into the vision that you have for them. So like, I think that's a big one too. So I wrote it somewhere in here. Obviously, I think the reason we've had as much success as we have is there is like very clear open communication both between us and with the clients.
Yeah.
And then also expectations are set both with each other, like even from the hiring piece to now, like expectations are set and then expectations are set with our clients.
Yeah.
So I think part of having a showing partner, like yes, it is alleviating some of my time because I'm not going to do the showings personally, like Taylor's doing that. And it also needs to be a win-win for the clients, or they're going to look at it as like, they're going to look like, oh, why aren't you doing this? Why do you have someone else showing this house? So if you tee it up that way and you just set the expectation like that, I think that is, and that starts from the very beginning. So I'm, setting that expectation with the clients. I think I told you on the pod, like, hey, can I tell you how I work?
Yeah.
And then I tell them how it all goes.
And have you had anybody be resistant to it?
Not at all. Well, one mean guy recently, but that was a red flag moment. He was the red flag, not us. But that was a whole deal. I'll tell you about it later. But I actually created a filter. I can send it to you guys if you're interested. It's called the right fit filter to decide if a client is
that's cool.
Good for you or not. So boundaries, people. Setting expectations, I think, is important. And Taylor, we've both sort of explained it to people in different ways. The easiest analogy, I think, is like a doctor-nurse situation. Like, the nurse comes in, takes your vitals. Taylor's the nurse. Like, she'll do all the vitals and set up this and, do the blah, blah, blah. And then I'm going to come in, like, when the time's ready, and I'm going to, build the rapport with the listing agent, which is nice because I've been in the business 11 years. So I have those relationships. And then, write the contract, do the negotiating, that kind of stuff. So.
Okay, a couple quicker questions here. How do you get feedback from the showing to you so that you're aware with the clients? How does that work?
So everything we do lives in a group chat. And again, I think that is...
Lives in, meaning it's there, not live is in it, right? You got two lives going here.
Oh, it is alive. It lives like...
Alive.
Yeah, sorry, not Olivia. It lives in... So there's a group chat. As soon as the buyer is ready and they're in our pipeline and ready to go, the group chat is started between me, Taylor, and the buyers. If it's a listing, Liv will already be in it, or Taylor, so sometimes it's like we got the whole fam there. So
everybody's there.
Everyone's there. Everything lives in there because, again, thinking from the place of the client, it's annoying, if I were a buyer,
to go on a showing, tell Taylor I didn't like this house, and then I'm driving home and get a text from me like, how'd it go?
Yeah.
I'm like, well, if you were there, you would have known. I think that is like, I'm really big on like, I don't know, how they view the whole process. So Taylor will text like, hey, they didn't like it, like, you know, or here's why and blah, blah, blah. So Taylor's also giving feedback, you know, to the listing agent. If there's questions, we're trying to make it, of course, as easy as we can for listing agents so that they're not confused. Like, well, why'd she show it and who's this? And obviously this is a different model that not a lot of people are running, so.
Who's scheduling showings?
Taylor.
Who's adjusting filters on their search?
Depends on who set up the search. So yeah, whoever sets up the search, but we're both like, we talk about all our buyers once a week at our meeting, so.
So as a showing partner, she's working through like from becoming a client to close and helping make adjustments and having combos.
Yep.
Cool. When should an agent start thinking about adding leverage to their business?
I think you should think about it before you're ready for leverage, because if you're in a desperate place and you're drowning, you're inching close to burnout, you're not going to hire with a clear mind. You will paint yellow and red flags green just because you are needing the help.
Yeah.
So I do think you need to think about it sooner rather than later, and that's not like crazy. I think also leverage can be people or leverage can be systems. So I think every one of you could do an audit of your business and figure out like what is it that's taking a lot of your time. Maybe it's showings, maybe it's newsletters, like whatever the thing is for your business. I think, you know, it could be an admin thing. Like I think a lot of stuff probably first and foremost is a lot of admin stuff that could get off your plate before it's showings. Just personally, I think that would. But then for systems, if you like Follow Up Boss or a spreadsheet, or do you even have a calendar? Do you have a calendar? I don't know. Like, what does that look like? So yes, I think leverage, I don't know if this is the next question, but like in general, I think we think of leverage. I think it's a buzzword, leverage. Everyone has leverage. You can have leverage in your business. You also could have leverage in your home life. So I think the saying was, you know, like you have the same 24 hours in a day as Beyonce, or like insert whoever. You do have the same 24 hours. You're not doing the same things that Beyonce's doing because she didn't make her breakfast. She didn't set out her clothes. She didn't drive herself. So like there's a whole show called Lincoln Lawyer. I love that show. And he hires a driver because that's when he does a lot of his work is in the car. It's like, yeah, you could hire a driver. But that's leverage. I don't think people think about like cleaning. Like I'm not good at cleaning. That's like the funniest thing ever. I'm not good at cleaning. I'm a clean person. I just don't want to like clean. Yeah. So someone does that for me. And so like you can hire off things that are taking time.
Yeah, we talked about this a little bit, so this will wrap this part up. But we talked about in our podcast when you're adding leverage, it's either for growth in your business or to buy time back for something else.
Yes.
And either one can be okay and be right. It's just have a vision for what that looks like. Now, not attacking lead-based teams, but sometimes we'll buy leads so other agents can sell them so that we don't have to do this as much. That probably isn't a sustainable business model. Now, if you're like, I have a busy home life and I need to add leverage in my business so that I can spend more time there, there's reason and value there. It's sustainable. Mm-hmm. So have the right reasons for when you're adding leverage. Let's hear it for Brittany. Thank you for all the great answers. All right. I got 2 questions for the group, and then I'm going to open this for Q&A. I'm only 3.5 minutes behind, maybe 4, so we're doing great. All right, so the first one, anybody can answer. What's something agents are doing right now that is a complete waste of time? Yeah, Katie.
The thing that comes to my mind are things that I've done myself, and I think sometimes trying to get people to go to my timeline instead of their timeline has never worked in real estate. It worked in other industries. And so, you know, I'm thinking I'm being like, oh, I'm a motivator. I'm so energetic and excited. And we're going to, you know, get you a house in the next 3 months. And my timeline never works. So I've learned that just listening better, I think. So a big time waster is following up with people that aren't going to, you know, be in the, you know, you always say, like, take whatever they say and divide it by 2. But if they're telling you, I'm not going to move for 2 years, and I'm like, we'll find something next month, that's not working. It's not gonna work. But yeah, I think just knowing their personality too. And if I was to be chipper and upbeat with somebody that's very analytical and serious, that doesn't work very well. So just trying to communicate with them and meet them where they are. There's a great book called The Platinum Rule that really helped me. And I just forget about it sometimes when I'm like, whatever, we'll find you another.
Tomorrow's the day.
Tomorrow. Yeah. Thanks for coming.
I love it.
Okay, when Will called me to go over the, talk about this one question, I was like, are you trying to make me offend people? This is not my thing. I said, I wouldn't call anything that someone is doing with intention and consistency a waste of time. However, I personally think that creating overproduced listing videos for every property, when you walk up to that, you say one liner and then the words are back and then the words are front, and then you go and you open the front door and then it's you're back and then you're in the door and the camera's meh. Anyway, I think that's a waste of time.
It's an age thing, and which in the
31's really hitting different.
I'd actually agree with that. A 5-second with your iPhone does the same thing, and you can save a lot of money.
Yeah, there it is. Oh, yeah. We can clap. We can clap. Let's go. Is that your answer? You had something else, I thought.
A waste of time.
Oh, I did have something else. Now I think about it now, I feel like you put me on the spot. No, I think what a lot of people, I know a lot of new agents do it because I did it, and I've talked to a lot of new agents that have done it. When you are from the area specifically, right, you have a sphere of people, whether you know it or not, that are willing and able to do business with you, and you're busy cold calling, cold leads. It doesn't take much to let people know you're in real estate. You don't have to ask for business. Whatever you're comfortable with, just let people know you're open for business.
Love it. When you're solely reliant on online leads, are you renting a business or is that your business? What's your thoughts on online leads, you guys, as a main source?
I believe you can start your business doing online leads. So when I was on my mom's team, we had Boomtown Leads 11 years ago. The internet was a different place, I think, 11 years ago. But my mom had told me this at the time. And of course, I was on a split, so whatever. But she said, you should only have to pay for a lead one time. So if you do it right, you'll pay one time, whether that's a referral to another agent or a referral to Zillow or wherever you get leads now. I don't know. But you only have to pay for them one time, and then if you take care of people, they should come back to you as repeat clients, refer more business, and then you don't ever have to pay for any of that. I think, this is a hot take, I think agents who are on a team paying for leads are renting their business regardless.
Yep. Yeah, it's good.
Sorry.
She's turning it off. Should have dropped it.
Coming from the social media standpoint, your business doesn't start till it comes off of social media, right? So it's just a lead gen sphere, right? Open houses, sphere, and social media are all different pillars of business. Your business doesn't start till it comes off of social media. So, what are you doing going forward to, grow your business because you have, 50 clients? How do you turn those 50 clients into 150? 150 into 300. Social media is great for lead gen, but at a certain point, my goal is to be able to delete social media.
Yeah.
So,
Love it.
That'd be crazy.
So with online leads, I still subscribe to a service in Council Bluffs, and I use it just for side if I'm gonna buy a real estate property and flip it or something. But I think that a lot of times with online leads or Realtor whatever.com, they're not always immediate. And if you're not a person that's going to follow through and follow up every month or 3 months or whatever, you might as well just give me your money and I'll spend it on shoes, because otherwise they're not going to call you in a year if they are going online and I'll meet them at an open house and snatch that lead up. But I think if you're not going to follow up, it's just a waste of money.
Yeah.
with that, I think it's a great supplement to your business.
There you go.
So right now, I pay somebody. I'm running Facebook ads sometimes, and I just pay somebody to call them all. And they're his leads, they're his business. I just want 50% of it.
Yep.
Just as a way to create some extra revenue when they do close. But also starting to try to help him grow his business. But
which is an add-on to what you're doing, right? And so like it's the right time to do it versus when you're completely reliant on you guys, and when you have all these major companies having buyouts and mergers and everything that's happening above us, right? When you're dependent on that, it can change in a moment. So that's why database and geographic lead gen sources are really, really important right now. Let's hear it for our panelists, you guys. What a great group of